Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That is Eric over there.
Hello.
That is Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I am Kelly. Eric, you told me something about a mouse.
Yes, we've over the cold snap that happened a few months back, the neighbor's house was largely destroyed. The interior of his condo was almost completely destroyed, as I've learned as they've been rebuilding it. Well,
Wow.
guess what happens when they start rebuilding something that was left vacant for 3 or 4 weeks when you live next to a national forest.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
So we seem to have acquired one mouse
Oh.
because there's no sign of mouse anyplace other than the kitchen.
Okay.
And it seems to be, you find little droppings between the kitchen and one other place.
Uh-huh.
That's it. We have 2 goddamn cats. I'm a little annoyed that those guys
Oh,
aren't
no.
doing
They're-
anything to deal with it.
They're of no help.
No, our last cat delivered something to our door one
Really?
time. he was a hunter, but these 2, no. So I put out a trap long time ago, and underneath this started about 3 or 4 weeks ago in one place,
Mhm.
totally ignored.
Mhm.
So I was like, because there's not a lot of places you can put a trap where a cat's not going to mess with it. So I was like, well, I got to put it here where a cat trap will mess with it. Nothing.
Yeah.
The droppings are getting less. So I'm like, oh God, we're not going to have a dead mouse up there who's starved to death. And I think that we may have the only mouse that knows it has a nut allergy.
Oh,
Completely
really?
ignoring peanut butter.
No, that is like the key.
And we had this before where
Yeah.
I'd put a trap up, bang, done. Every time, overnight, we'd
Yeah.
always get one. Nothing. So
Oh
I'm
my
like, what is with this
gosh.
stupid mouse? This is like the smartest mouse ever. We've got, the brain. Pinky and the brain are hanging out. We're like, I'm not in that. I can see how this mechanism works. So
Oh my goodness.
hopefully they'll call and capture. And for those of you going, oh no, it's non-kill traps.
Yeah.
Just so you know, although with it sitting in the middle of the kitchen, I'm guessing once the mouse is trapped and can't get away, that the cats will play with it.
Oh
So it's like,
gosh.
well, you're in a solid plastic thing. They won't be able to get to you, but you're probably going to get the shit scared out of you.
Oh,
Leave.
jeez. Are those like green plastic ones with the trap doors that like?
It's a version of that.
Okay.
but
Yeah. Yeah. We had mice problems on the island for
Oh well.
a
Yeah.
nice little period of time, and it's not constant, but like there was a couple months, and I, being an animal lover, placed many of those traps, and each night I would have a mouse, and then people were like, you're just supposed to kill them because otherwise they'll come back to your house within a mile. So I would put it in the car with me in a cardboard box in the trap still and drive it a mile and a half to a nearby park, and then release it in the dead of night and be like, go enjoy your life.
Yes.
Do not come back to my house.
That's
So-
kind of what we did what I did with the previous ones. I'd go up between us and North Bend and pull off to one of those
Yep.
trailheads, and
You'll have a good
they,
time out
they
here.
didn't come back because that was a long ways.
Yeah.
That was a long drive.
A couple mile markers away.
It's a nice drive, so you can go a while.
Wow. Well, I hope that your mouse gets figured out. I mean, the one thing I will say is if you do end up using a kill solution,
That's the
such
next one.
as
Sorry, Dina.
such as poison, just 2 things to be aware of. 1, if it dies, it might die in your wall and it's going to smell bad. 2, if your
I
cats
wouldn't-
eat it,
I wouldn't use the
your
poison
cats will get
ones.
poisoned.
Yeah.
So.
No, there's this one that's like a box that
Oh.
like electrocutes them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
So
better than the
they're not going to
sticky.
go anywhere with it. But yeah, the ones that hold poison, it's like, why would I do that? I know
It's
exactly
so
what's going to
bad.
happen if you poison a
It's
mouse.
so bad. My mom uses those in the garage, and I'm like, oh my God, so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. But she knows.
Oh, and for long listeners of the show, I also had a fucking wasp visit
No.
my place, but killed that sucker and like grounded up and talked to the exterminator guy. He's like, well, it's the time of season that was, it was huge.
Ugh.
He's like, he said it was big. He's like, yeah, they should be small now. So it's probably a queen hunting for a hive. So
Oh.
you may have just saved yourself a whole lot of problems.
Oh my God. Ooh, ugh. Gross.
Who was that cartoon cat that was always like, I hate meeses to pieces?
I know who you mean. I don't know the character's name.
That's all I could think about while you were talking about this.
Yep.
Incredible.
Eric, can you give us an update on the Connoisseur showing?
And
We have
we
a short
have-
film that is hitting film festivals right now.
We have. Open up, you moron.
Poor iPad. I'm
There we
sorry. I'm
go.
doing my
Okay.
best.
Oh, the first one listed says award winner. That was Bone Bat. But we've got two festivals. One, a smaller one, a local one that has a great name. The Thing in the Basement Horror Fest,
Nice.
Very nice. When is that?
which has event date June 30th.
June 30th. Okay.
And then there's the big one we got accepted to, the Portland Horror Film Festival, which is run by our friends that do the Lovecraft Film Festival. I'm sure that's not why we got in. But Brian and Gwen won an amazing festival. This one runs 5 days. So it's a very large horror film festival. So I would encourage, if you're in the area and like horror at all, you really need to check this one out.
And what are those dates?
Those are June 5th is the start date.
Coming up quick.
Very quick, yeah.
5th through 9th. Wow. Okay. Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward. And you've submitted to other film
Yeah,
festivals.
we've got 15 on here, but the next dates are like September, July, October. So
Okay.
they run a while from now.
Are these accepted or submissions?
Those are submissions.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
the events run a long time away. The next closest one is a couple in July.
Mm.
So
Cool. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Exciting. Hey, you remember a couple of weeks ago we did an episode on spiders?
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the movies I watched for that
Oh.
was a rewatch of The Incredible Shrinking Man,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
based on the Richard Matheson novel. And the last time I saw this film was in the theater. I was maybe 6 years old. My brother had broken me out of first grade or whatever and took me
That's
to
awesome.
a matinee of it down at the old Majestic in Ballard. And I remember just being entranced with it. And I haven't watched it since. And I thought, well, spiders. I remember there's a big spider in it, so I'm going to watch it. And holy cow, that is such a great movie. I was blown away by how good that movie is.
Ah.
And it made me want to read the book. I have not read the story, but the movie was done so well, and such a downbeat ending that I did not remember at all, because he just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking
no.
until he's like subatomic.
Oh, no.
And I was like, fuck, what an amazing movie. I had a
I-
really good time with it.
Yeah, I think that's a criterion too. That's one I watched with a friend's backyard movies where he shows films.
Yeah.
And I think the people, at least one of the other people watching it, didn't quite get how good the movie was, because I felt like he was watching an entirely different film. Like,
Oh,
you know,
making comments.
This isn't a really bad movie. This is actually a really well done film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. It is not available to stream, unfortunately.
Oh,
a
Incredible
bummer.
Shrinking Man, though. Check it out.
Wow. Well, my young tiny human being now has good eyesight, so I've had to alter the kinds of things I typically watch. And since we have some time here and there where
Barney!
she's hanging out, but I don't want her to just have scarring material in front of her that she doesn't fully understand and grasp as she's trying to construct what our dear world is all about. I went ahead and started rewatching the Avatar cartoon.
Oh, okay.
I was actually trying to show her Ninja Turtles on the Totally Turtles channel on Pluto TV, but they only have Avatar: The Last Airbender on there, which is
On the
strange because I
Totally
feel like
Turtles channel?
shouldn't they have the Avatar an absolute Avatar or an awesome Avatar channel, not a totally Turtles channel that's just showing Avatar. But it's okay. But it got me re-addicted to it, so we are now making our way back through Avatar because I feel like she gets really excited by it. Like she can get really engaged by it. So
That's very cool.
it's been fun.
Weren't you talking about the Netflix series?
I was, I had I had watched the live action to an extent because it was so bad. It was so bad. And rewatching the cartoon has only really instilled in me just how incredible the cartoon is.
Wow.
It's just so good. And the live action one has no heart. It doesn't have the humor. It doesn't have I don't know. It doesn't have the evolution of the characters in the way that you want. I just hated it. Just absolutely hated it. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
check it out on Pluto TV on the Totally Turtles channel.
Anyway, on Netflix, I'm watching something totally unrelated to or I watched to what we talked about, but boy, it was interesting. Muscles and Mayhem, an unauthorized story of American gladiators.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I think I saw an ad for this.
It's crazy.
Oh,
This American Gladiators was a TV show in the late 80s, early 90s that kind of preceded things like Survivor or, I don't know, maybe Big Brother, anything that's got a competition angle to it, in which people would volunteer to take on the gladiators, the American gladiators, like, was it Flash and Torch? I don't know, names like that.
Mhm.
And the story of how that show came about is kind of scary. It's amazing. Nobody died on this show.
Oh man.
And then when they went, like, they did a live tour that I'd forgotten about, but it was like instead of being like a sports tour, they did like a music tour. So
Oh.
they were performing every night,
Oh my God.
getting the shit kicked out of them every night and getting injured. And just,
Oh my God.
it's a wildly interesting story. They call it unauthorized, but Jesus, they talked to almost everybody involved. Most of the producers, the creators,
Huh.
all of the gladiators, I think, that are still around. Well, not all of them, because they got a lot at one point, but all the original gladiators.
Hmm.
And surprisingly interesting for a show I maybe watched 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Did that show come about as a response to the Running Man movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was just kind of a weird accident. It is very weird how it comes together. Just
Hmm.
all kinds of strange. I need something to do. Well, maybe we can do this. I think it's more related to wrestling.
Oh.
Okay.
The wrestling scene in the 80s was kind of huge.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Okay. I watched something called Something in the Water.
Oh.
Shark movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Not very good.
Oh.
It is about a group of girls who are, I guess they're like on a bridal party type thing
Bachelorette
on a
party.
boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then something happens and the boat goes down and they are stuck in the water. And of course there are sharks.
Ooh.
And it's there's not enough sharks to make me happy.
Oh, okay.
Does at least one? Does the wedding dress get eaten by a shark?
I don't think there was a wedding dress, but a lot of people get eaten by sharks. But then there's a long stretch of these two girls just floating in the water
Mm.
and talking and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, boring. Where's the shark at?
More shark, please.
Listen, the last thing I want is two girls talking. You know me, Vanessa. But but this was even worse than that. So, and then the shark comes and one of the girls gets on like a coral reef and it's circling around. The shark effects are fairly decent until the end where they like ran out of money or something and they look very, very CGI.
Oh.
And then the ending is just kind of they save her just as she's about to get eaten by a shark. I mean, she's literally, there's like a shark racing towards her and a boat racing towards her, and they scoop her up in a moving boat, and the shark leaps. And then it's just the boat, floating off into the distance. And I was like, Not going to go back and kill that fucking shark?
Turn around.
Yeah, I feel like that asshole's got to die.
They, they need to do another orca movie based on all these orcas taking out yachts
Oh,
over in
yeah.
Spain. That sounds like a great film. And that one you can cheer for the orcas probably.
Right. There's something so weird about the fact that there is a semi-intelligent creature out there that has gone on to help humans in most cases, like during shark attacks and things like that. And we just don't kind of talk about it.
Right, yeah. Dolphins.
Like this is really strange, you guys. We should probably be talking about this.
Maybe we can't talk about it because orcas are like quickly dying out. Quickly. So,
Are they quickly dying out?
yeah.
Oh.
It's bad. It's really bad. We've been monitoring them up here in the Pacific Northwest because they're a lot of the pods come from here. And every time a baby doesn't make it or like the pod grows smaller by 1 or 2, it's like a huge problem. And there's not enough salmon for them to eat. And the noise is fucking them up and from the boats, which is probably why they're attacking the boats. But no, they're really not doing good. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up potentially extinct, honestly. Like really.
Sorry, folks. I didn't realize we'd go from a fun little orcas taking out yachts to they're all gone.
I was really obsessed with whales as a kid, like very obsessed. So I kind of, my brain just pings into this stuff occasionally.
Sure.
I've dated a couple.
Of whales? Oh, that's not very nice, Kelly.
Why
would you say that? That's not a nice thing to say about your exes.
I know.
Anyway, is it my turn? I think it's my turn.
Yes, quickly talk.
Big door prize. Have either of you seen this movie called Big Door Prize?
I was like, is she having a stroke?
Yeah, what are you?
Sorry, it's an Apple show.
Never even heard of it.
Okay, it's on season 2 or 3, and it's in the carousel, and I was like, I don't know, it looks dumb or
Apples,
whatever.
But Apple's,
Apple's good.
Yeah.
So I threw it on. It is a very, very strange show. So it's like this small town where this teacher is living his best life. He loves his life. He's got this cool teenage daughter, and him and his wife are just so happy, and he loves his job. And it's a small town, and all of a sudden in the local grocery mart, a machine appears called the Lotus. And when you press, you go up and you put some money in and you press a button, it gives you what your purpose in life is. And all of a sudden, everybody in town is like getting these cards, and they're like, you know what? I want to get into motorcycles. It just knew in my heart of hearts that that's what I wanted. And all these people are changing what their life is about and restructuring to do what the card is telling them to do. So each episode is kind of following a different character in the town and how they're reacting to their card. And like his wife, for example, gets a card that says royalty. And it's like, well, what does that even mean? So how do you interpret like, oh, I should be royalty? And on the other hand, he gets the card and he's a very good whistler and he's a teacher. And it says whistler and teacher on his card. And he's like, oh,
neat.
Well, and then he's depressed because he thought like the whole thing was stupid and, everyone in the town is making these dumb decisions. And then he's like, so unhappy with, he loves his life, but he's like, this is all I am. I can't be any more than what this card says. So it's pretty interesting as a show. I'm sure it's going to develop into something very strange by season 2, but I'm not there yet.
Are the people realizing that they really did want these things, or are they forcing themselves to think they?
No, it's I guess it's a little vague, but most of the time the way it's being played out is they had these weird secret and sometimes unrealized desires where maybe it was something they wanted as a child or, they'd repressed it. And it seems that the card knows something about them. So yeah, like actually you really wanted to do this thing. And as soon as they see it, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it knew. This is true. This is what I want. So
Well, I'll watch that.
Sure.
Pretty interesting.
Cool.
A little silly, a little lighthearted, but I've been enjoying it. So
nice. Well, I've got a comic book to talk about.
Oh, great!
The Punisher, the King of Killers saga Have you heard of this one?
No.
Mm-mm.
It is wild. One of the better Punisher stories I've read in many, many years.
Hmm.
The Hand reaches out to him because they feel he is the greatest assassin in the world.
Oh.
So they want him, and they feel he will be their chosen leader
Hmm.
for the Hand, and which he is. So he takes over running the Hand,
Whoa.
and there's some weird mysticism involved with it as well. It goes a
Right.
little bit beyond just his normal guns and ammo stuff. So it's really, really well done.
Is this a recent comic or is this an older one you've
Uh,
discovered?
I think it's 20. It's older. It's not very new, but well worth checking out. I would say. See if it's got a date on here. The 2022. Not that long ago. I
Oh.
thought it was older than that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that's running through some of the Daredevil stuff I was
Oh.
reading recently.
Oh.
But I also thought that the Punisher went and became like the cosmic Ghost Rider or something.
Whoa. Maybe he will in this. I don't know, but not.
Hmm.
That would be cool to read. I would definitely read that as well.
I think that's older, like from 2015 or something. So
Cool.
I don't know. Comics have gotten very strange.
They've
Yeah.
gotten very strange.
Yes.
Very
Well,
hard to keep up with.
This one's well written. I did do that same thing you did with X-Men. Found a bunch of them through the Hoopla app.
Oh, yeah.
So, I didn't want to spend any money on them.
Mhm.
Wow, there's some really poorly written
Yeah.
X-Men stuff out there. And it's just like the Who Should Lead the School, Wolverine or Kitty Pryde segment where they're rebuilding the mansion. It's like, it's like a bad sitcom.
Huh.
And it's really weirdly written.
Yeah, I've been listening to this podcast about Marvel stuff as they've been going through episode by episode X-Men 97, and they keep referencing comics because two big nerds. And yeah, I'm like, what? What is that? So awful. I mean, I'm glad you guys kept up with it so that I have any concept of what this is referencing, but
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I liked this X-Men 97 so much. Is I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this. I remember some of these storylines
Yeah.
because they're from the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't remember the faceless guy. I mean, I kind of
Morph.
recognize him, but I don't really. I mean, he's actually represented in the comic in the show about as well he was in the comic. He's
Mm.
just sort of always background. He never really
Mm.
seemed to have much of a foreground character, which is weird because power, you think he would.
Yeah.
It's very confusing to watch in X-Men 97 because I keep getting like psych from Morph because I'm like, oh my God, it's Morph. Oh my God, it's Morph. I keep forgetting that Morph is there. It's just like a bad prank over and over.
Did you watch the finale?
I did.
I was like, wow, this is a very compelling show.
It's super good. Yeah, and there's definitely a season 2 already made. And then the showrunner had been fired though.
Right.
So it sounds like there must have been something that they did that was so bad because this show is so good.
Yeah.
And he got fired right before season 1 came out. So mystery. I don't know if we'll ever know, but it must have been real bad.
All right. Why don't we
Theory.
take a little break and we'll Google him, see what we can find out. And then when we come back, we are talking about Peter Cushing movies.
From an ever-growing family of dogs to an ever-growing army of toy soldiers at the Kensington home of film actor Peter Cushing. For in his spare time, Peter, an enthusiastic member of the Model Soldier Society, collects, makes, and acts as general to an army over 5,000 strong. These troops, from every period of military history, are the result of meticulous research into uniforms and military techniques. Cushing often links hobby and film career, portraying military leaders in films like The Black Knight and Alexander the Great, and then creating in miniature the armies of these historical characters. Many of these tiny replicas are made from compressed drawing paper, delicately hand-painted and with detachable swords and helmets. But surrounded by these miniature masterpieces, Cushing is not content to just sit and admire them. He plays with them. He plays with them solemnly and conscientiously, according to the rules laid down by H.G. Wells in his famous book, Little Wars. The title is described as a game for boys from 12 to 150, and for that more intelligent sort of girl who likes boys' games and books. In fact, the game has been and is played most soberly by distinguished people. It's said that Napoleon was an enthusiast. Played rather like a game of chess, but more exciting, the battle area is first laid out to the player's specifications. And then, in turn, artillery, cavalry, and infantry clash, or take evasive action according to the player's generalship and spirit. Altogether, a fascinating test of ingenuity and, more important, good marksmanship by the gunners firing their toy shells, proving, if we needed proof, that playing soldiers is one game we never grow tired of.
Hello?
Let's see who's called the Strange Eons radio hotline.
Hey guys, sorry I missed you at Crypticon, but this is Micah. Somebody whose name starts with a V told me that I should check out Black Easter, which is just an ungodly mess of a film. But my favorite thing is when the security guard company that is owned by the producer / writer / director become the heroes at the hour and 40-minute mark after the terrorists are found out, and the guy heroically goes, Champion National is now in control. Champion National being owned by Jim Carroll, who made this movie. And that sure is a thing. Vanessa, this is all your fault.
If you'd like to call the Strange Eons radio hotline, dial 253-237-4266.
Nobody hangs up on me.
We have returned after just a lovely conversation
Yes.
about exes and human sexuality and all of this stuff.
Getting real deep over here.
Yeah.
And,
I love you guys.
And nuts. We talked about nuts.
I love you guys. I'm going to admit something. I hate doing this podcast, but I love doing it because of you guys. So
Aw.
this is a lot of work. It's a lot of research. I don't want to let anybody down, but these are the two reasons I still do this podcast.
Yes.
It's because I love you guys so much.
Aw. Ditto.
Eric, this was your subgenre choice. You want to tell us what we're talking about?
We are talking about another one of the masters of horror movies, Peter Cushing.
I'm
Cushing.
so glad you chose this because I have not seen enough Peter Cushing movies.
Do you mind if I start a little, I wrote down some of
sure.
his history.
Yeah, definitely.
We should probably do this if we're going to do these episodes. So
Yeah.
Peter Wilton Cushing, born in May of 1913, died in August of 94, had an acting career that spanned over 6 decades, included appearances in more than 100 films, as well as many television, stage, and radio roles. Cushing gained worldwide fame for his appearance in 22 horror films from the Hammer Studio, particularly, as well as being 6 of their 7 Frankenstein's films. He was being in. My grammar is not.
Me read hard today.
What the fuck? You know what? We just had such a good conversation. I used all of my
Your
English
charisma and
in
your
that.
eloquence are gone.
Right. He was also Dr. Van Helsing in 5 Dracula films. He played Doctor Who in Doctor Who and the Daleks from 1965.
Nice.
And Invasion Earth 2150 AD in 1966, and became best known through his part in the original Star Wars film. In 2008, Cushing's image was used in a set of stamps issued by the Royal Mail honoring Hammer Studio Films on the 50th anniversary of the release of Dracula.
Yeah.
And in 2013, Cushing was honored by the Royal Mail as one of 10 people selected for their Great Britain's commemorative postage stamp issue.
Beautiful.
Yeah. We love Peter
Pretty cool.
Cushing.
Hell yeah.
And you can get them in 2 different stamps if you're a collector.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
If you're so inclined.
Would you like to go first then, Eric?
Sure will.
10 minutes on the buzzer.
All right. Well, we're starting back mid-career, 1974, with Tender Dracula.
Love is ageless. And because she's in love, she is pure. True. Oh, yes. It's always true. I love you. And I love you.
Play the devil, please.
I cannot play the devil, my dear, not even for you. Playing the devil is such a dirty business. It's not creative. You have no choice. And if you have no choice, then you have no dignity. I have the right to be gentle. I'll tell you a secret, if you let it remain one. With you, I try to be like a god. For you alone. That is why you're so beautiful to me. Because of you, I created for the first time.
Wow.
Or Confessions of a Blood Drinker, or Tendre Dracula, which is tender in French, Le Grand Troulet, Vampire, or The Big Scare. So pick whatever you like.
Almost all of those better than Tender Dracula.
The Big Scare, I think, is how it's listed on IMDb, and Tender Dracula is the title for the Severin release in their Peter Cushing box set. Let's see, which I was able to acquire at Crypticon Seattle. Thank you, Severin.
Oh.
We've got 1974 Rotten Tomatoes, no score for critics, no score from crowd. This is not highly available. I'm guessing it's probably running somewhere on YouTube, maybe. Or since it's Severin, if it's not yet, it will at some point probably be on Shudder. Directed by Pierre Grunstein. This is his only writer-director credit, although he produced 57 films. Other writer on there was Justin Lenoir, who wrote Hard Love. Hal Brav, which he wrote the Asterix and Cleopatra and Asterix the Gaul. Are you guys familiar with Asterix? It's a little cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Little
With the
cartoon,
wings.
Viking. Him and
Yeah.
his big brother, big guy, strong man.
Oh.
Fairly funny comic that I enjoyed come out. The movie translation seemed a little rough. And then Pierre, who I mentioned before, starring, guess who? Peter Cushing. You might know him from Helen Keller, The Miracle Continues, Shockwaves, or Asylum, or any number of his 131 roles. Also starring Alida Valli, who is in the Suspiria, The Third Man, Inferno, Killer Nun, Lisa and the Devil. So she has 136 credits. Some of those movies being absolute stone cold classics. If you haven't seen Third Man, go watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Bernard Menez, yeah, Suspiria too, who was in Pigeons and Dragons, Cludio, and Don't Cry with Your Mouth Full. I don't know what that's about. Okay, well, this movie. The beginning starts with a very odd sense. It begins as an English dub, and it looks like one of those films where they kind of shot it in English and then dubbed it poorly.
Mhm.
So I let it play for a little while. At one point I changed, I'll tell you when. The beginning cuts between a very serious operating room with heavy music and and then cuts back and forth between two guys running around like a French Bugs Bunny cartoon with odd music to match. So it switches back and forth between the two, signaling to me that this may not be the best movie I have watched. Because the cutting is not smooth.
Oh, no.
Peter Cushing is the doctor in that particular operating scene, which is a scene from a movie or something he's in, because in this movie, Peter Cushing is playing an actor. The two men are in charge they're the writers for shows, and that McGregor's, which is Peter Cushing's character, no longer wants to do horror. He wants to play a romantic lead.
Oh.
The producer of the television station is no interest in this. He does not want them to write him a comedy. He wants them to continue to write horror for him, whether he likes it or not. I bet I would not be a bit surprised if Tom Cruise was asked for his inspiration from Tropic Thunder if he had watched this movie. Because this guy is way over the top. He's got a little button on his desk that he hits that says, sit down. This big echo thing. And then he talks to him. And if they screw up, he hits it again. And at one point he hits it and goes, you're fired. What the hell am I watching? This is by far one of the most amusing scenes, which kind of, okay, maybe I will be all right for this movie. But sadly, not so much. They are sent to McGregor's in a car with two women in the back who they are instructed not to talk to or not to interact with in any way. So you just have two women sitting in the back of this car until they get in a car wreck, which destroys it, and they all leave on foot with the two guys getting grumpy and dumping the luggage they've carried for a while. So I'm like, French humor gone strong here or something. Give you a hint of the level of humor this movie has. Every scene, when they first get to their bedrooms, the 4 or 5 different bedrooms, they light the oil lamp. Every time the door shuts, the lamp goes out. Except for one time, when the lamp is out, the door closes, and the lamp comes on. This is humor. So you can tell they're trying to play it for laughs because it's very obviously a slapsticky looking setup that just doesn't work at all. You know, there's the great scene in Young Frankenstein with "Put the candle back." It feels like they wanted something like that, even though it's, not that same time. They failed. But wait, is this a musical?
Oh, no.
One of the two women starts to sing, and they're singing story-wise, so it's like a musical, and she's not like singing with the radio or something. So, and it's bad. Oh my God, it is so bad. It's like, well, let's see if the French original sounds better. And it did, actually. The French singing was definitely better. However, when you switch to the French language, Peter Cushing is now being dubbed by a poor French actor.
Oh, no.
In the English version, it's Peter Cushing in his own voice. So I switched back to that. I don't care about these French characters. I want to hear Peter Cushing telling me about the movie he's in. So that's how I watched most of the film. It has some cool looking sets. Holy shit. There's this crazy dinner table they're sitting at with these wild avant-garde looking statues behind all the tables and this figure looming over the top. Just looks awesome. The castle he lives in, because of course he lives in a castle, looks familiar. Sure, it's been in other movies without a doubt. At moment the movie works a little bit nice. There's this sweet waltz dance scene between Peter and his wife, the woman from Suspiria, and which has a full orchestra with a man sitting there playing the piano. So I'm like, that's some impressive piano playing, sir. But at one point, one of the writer guys has found a gun. So all this niceness, and bang! Looks like he shoots himself. Like, what the? Nope. The writers have decided they're going to play pranks on Peter Cushing to make him love horror by pretending to kill themselves and one of the women. And somehow this is supposed to make him think, well, yeah, horror is fun, isn't it? Like,
it's a successful method.
Good God, no. So that's what they want to do. That's their whole point, I guess. The fun part of having the subtitles stayed on, I just left them run while listening to Peter talk. They contradict each other at times. Like he's got a drink where it looks like he's drinking, is he drinking blood? And his line is, my buddy here, or whatever, the servant makes the best Bloody Marys. The subtitle said, I love it when he fixes chicken blood drinks.
What?
And there's
no
multiple occasions like that where it's story changing mistakes or alternatives between the two. It's really wild.
Huh.
And so the movie continues on being weird and okay. Ends up in sort of an orgy.
What?
Yeah, where but of the whole cast and crew, with the exception of the 2 writers, all the cast and crew take off clothes and start having kind of like a orgy thing.
This is why people give me funny looks when I say I'm in the film industry. Explains a lot.
And the producer from the beginning has shown up a little while ago, and he's like, he gives it to the writer and said, film this. This is the future of film.
My God.
Because this movie is nonsensical and ridiculous, I will spoil the end for you. And if you're going to want to watch it, you're going to want to watch it anyways. So you've got the orgy thing going on, and Peter tells his manservant to prepare some stuff. And then there's a shot of the castle, Monty Python style, kind of breaking apart and falling and taking off like a rocket ship into the sky.
What
Wow.
the heck?
A Rocky Horror Picture Show here.
Oh my God. Huh.
So it was billed, a couple little notes here. It was billed as Peter Cushing's only time playing Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
There's no indication he's really a vampire. It sort of hints at it. There's like, he's got the teeth, and does he drink blood?
Huh.
But at the same time, he seems to kind of joke that he's not.
Huh.
Peter and Elidio, played Miss Tanner and Suspiria, when they're on screen, they're good.
Mm.
Everything else is weird French farce. Sadly, overall, I found the movie pretty boring.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't bad enough to be entertaining, and it wasn't good enough. But I would say if you're a Peter Cushing lover, you should see it, because it's such a different role for him. He is so weird.
Does he get naked during the orgy scene?
No, him and his wife are not involved in the orgy scene.
Sure.
Do you ever, when we're looking for these films, kind of look at the rating first and then go, because I imagine this was not rated highly.
It had no ratings. No, nobody had reviewed it on either side, and I've done 3 or 4 of those films. So,
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Holy smokes.
Vanessa?
Yeah. So my Peter Cushing movie was great.
Oh, good.
I went with the 1972 film Horror Express. And much like yours, it was kind of a co-production. So it was original title Pianco en el Transberinio.
For 2 million years in these subterranean caves, a creature of superhuman evil was entombed in a wall of ice, waiting to be free, waiting to live again. Travel with us on a journey into a world where nightmare becomes reality.
Are you telling me that an ape that lived 2 million years ago got onto that crate, killed the baggage man and put him in there?
Yes, I am. It's alive. It must be.
Travel with us, if you dare, on the Horror Express. Hide, but you can't escape. No one can stop the fury and the terror of the Horror Express.
The film was a co-production between Spain's Granada Films and the British company Benmar Productions. Rotten Tomato score of 80% critics, 52% from audience, and they're fools. Budget of 300,000. Box office was very confusing. Box office 755,542 admissions in Spain. I don't know what that means. I feel like that's if they were just paying a bit of money, then that means their budget was okay. But I also read somewhere else that it didn't do very well in Spain, so I'm confused. Anyway, director is Eugenio Martin, who has 30 credits to his name. He's a Spanish director-writer known for The Ugly Ones, Valle Romantico, Granada, and Sobrenatural. Starring Christopher Lee, 290 credits. Hammer Films, and just toss a quarter in there.
Toss a major franchise. He's been in it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, also of course The Wicker Man. One film not yet put out, which is coming soon, will be The Time of War, because he's passed, of course. The Time of War, where he does a VO line, and that should be coming soon. Peter Cushing, 131 credits, including, of course, Horror of Dracula, Christopher Frankenstein, Star Wars, and Biggles, Adventure in Time, Son of Hitler, Sherlock Holmes, and the TV series, and Moulin Rouge, not that one. The Man in the Iron Mask, not that one. And Pride and Prejudice, not that one, or even that one. But he is in one of them. Alberto de Mendoza is in 124 different projects. He's an Argentinian actor who did a lot of Spanish films like El Jefe, Tapas, and La Mala Verdad. So, and we also have a small role where it's kind of like a special guest appearance by Telly Salvas, 128 credits. He is Kojak in Kojak, or Biofeld in Her Majesty's Secret Service. So, plot.
Blofeld.
Thank you. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Starts with Professor Alex Saxton giving a report to the Royal Geological Society and taking blame for an expedition gone wrong. He led a trip to Manchuria where we kind of go back in time and see these men climbing along a mountain peak. They enter a cave where they come across a corpse. We see the men wrapping it in a box covered in chains and then going to a train station where Alex is boarding a train to in Shanghai, which looks suspiciously like Marylebone Station, which I went to every day when I lived there, to take the specimen back to Europe. A well-known thief in the station tries to steal its contents, but is then found later totally white-eyed, bleeding from his eyes, his ears, and his nose, and dead. They just kind of assume he was blind from the start, and they're like, oh, that's weird. A blind thief tried to get in here, and he is now dead. Oh, well, let's put this box on the train. The box makes a monk really freak out, and he believes there's something truly evil inside. He proves it by trying to make a cross on it with a piece of chalk, and nothing appears. They say that that is just parlor tricks, and he's just crazy. And then, of course, a woman's dog on the train starts barking at it obsessively. Saxton is incredibly protective of this box, saying it holds fossils, a rock, and then eventually admits to it maybe containing a corpse. Several other scientists are on the train, including Dr. Wells, Peter Cushing, who is also curious about the box and pays a baggage handler to drill a hole into the container so he can come by later and see what's inside. The worker takes a peek himself, however, and is later found dead with the same white eyes. The specimen, after that, manages to break out, and it is a man-ape creature with a rotting corpse face and red eyes. It then escapes into the train and begins killing people, and of course, turning each of his victims' eyes white. An autopsy of one of the corpses reveals that all their brains have become smooth, indicating that their memories have been taken, because science was different back then. The scientist and the train inspector must work together to figure out what the creature is and how to stop it. Meanwhile, the creature seems able to jump from person to person, by making a eye connection, and that makes it very difficult to work out who the creature is. And hey, maybe they even craft a test at one point to figure out who it is. And guess what? The test is not a good test. So this has a groovy song. The theme song is super fun. It plays, and then we later hear a woman playing it on the piano, and then it's hummed from one person to another, and eventually the creature is humming it when he kills a man, giving us the first indication that the creature is intelligent. I like the concept. Um, I don't really want to spoil what this guy is, but it's a pretty smart idea. There's a weird, goofy science all the way through this, including they take a blood sample of the creature and they look at it through a microscope and they see its memories, like they see images on the blood, including Earth from above, which makes the mug think that he is Satan because he was there during the forming of the planet. The monk, by the way, turns from devout Christian to really happy to help Satan because he thinks the dude is Satan very fast, unusually fast. I was like, you were, I guess, just extreme in every way. Captain Kazan, who is played by Kojak, they build this guy up so heavily, but then he I don't know, he's like kind of fun and neat and he has this cool intro and then he just dies really quick. And I'm like, what? Why are you here? Did they just like want your face on this? I don't know. It feels a little strange. There's a lot of gross eye stuff in this film, so please be warned if you watch it. There's a lot of really gross eye stuff. This is definitely where John Carpenter got the idea for the lepers in The Fog. It's a great design. Lots of kind of the glowing eyes and the rotting face, but swap out the arms for very, very hairy arms. And I will say, I do enjoy, there's a lot of hairy arm acting in this film. So for a long time, the creature many times is just an arm doing suspicious fun things like locking doors and opening them. So it's pretty goofy, but great. There are some great lines in here, including hypnosis, yoga, mystics can be convincing. Using that yoga. And I've eaten in worse circumstances and with worse company, says a guy basically hitting on a lady. So I don't know if that would really woo me if I sat down with a dude, but scientists, A little bit of trivia for you. Tagline, book your tickets now to a trip to terror. Peter Cushing arrived in Spain for filming and immediately told producer Bernard Gordon that he could not do the picture as he felt it was way too soon after his wife's death. Christopher Lee convinced Cushing to stay by reminiscing with him about previous movies they'd worked on together, much to the relief of Gordon. It was released only 2 days after Dracula AD 1972, which also starred Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Joe Dante, who is a fan of the film, noted that the original American theatrical release prints were nigh unwatchable as they featured overly dark color grading as well as printed in splices and damaged. In the autobiography, Bernard Gordon noted that the executive producer, Benjamin Fizz, sold the film's U.S. rights to Scotia International for $100,000, and he received very little due to a tax deal that was in effect at the time. This left him and Gordon unable to pay the $150,000 debt, equivalent to half the film's budget, to a Spanish bank that loaned them the money, which resulted in the original camera negative being impounded. As a result, the U.S. theatrical prints had to be struck from the film's beat-up work print. This seems to have been resolved because the version I saw was beautiful. While this film may intentionally or unintentionally have a similar plot to the classic sci-fi novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr., which was first adapted as the film The Thing from Another World in 1951 and then The Thing in 1982. Horror Express is not official adaptation and does not credit Campbell or his story. It is available on Tubi. There are 2 versions. Pick the first one. It has a uglier thumbnail, but it is actually the better version. The other one is very, very bad looking. So
weird.
Yeah.
One's the American print release, apparently.
Yes. One is the American. The other one starts off with Spanish subtitles as far as like just telling you the names of people, but at no point is it in Spanish. It's 100% in English. So
I like this movie. I think this was used in one of the seasons of Creepshow.
I know that they cut it up and used it for another show or film or something, but I don't know if it was Creepshow.
Yeah, where where this guy creates a machine and he can put himself into a movie, and he puts himself into that movie.
That's 100% it. Yep. and they go into this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but it sounds pretty rad.
That's one of the recent ones, right?
Yeah, it was one of the few good episodes.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Cool. I like that movie. Okay, well, I'm putting 10 minutes on the board. I am talking about a underseen film called Cash on Demand.
This is the Havisham branch of the City and Colonial Bank, in a quiet provincial town where nothing ever happens. But about 10 o'clock on the morning of December the 23rd, as these doors are opened for business, the most startling, terrifying 2 hours of this man's life will commence.
I walk into this bank this morning, hand a card over the counter, and immediately I'm shown in here and left alone with Fordyce. I could have stuck a gun in his ribs as soon as the door closed.
If I may say so, sir, you don't look much like a gunman.
What does a gunman look like? Like this?
Don't do anything, Fordyce. They'll die if you move or say a word.
What is it you want?
Just some money.
You'll never get away with it.
Unfortunate for your family if I don't.
Starring Peter Cushing as the bank manager, the martinet who lives for his work and almost dies for it. Andre Morel as Hepburn. His was the moment 1,000 thieves had dreamt of.
We've been a year setting up this operation. There isn't the smallest detail of your branch which is not known to me. Try to remember I've only to make one of several prearranged gestures at that window, and your wife would be subjected to the most unbearable torture.
Up to now, you've made all the threats. I'll make only one. If anything happens to my family, I'll kill you. I swear I will.
Open safe. In the door!
Not Star Wars.
Not Star Wars.
You lied.
Okay, cool.
1961. Budget of £37,000. Quick, Vanessa, what's the...
I don't know in the 70s.
What's the conversion? How many ounces is that?
65.
Okay. No box office. Rotten Tomatoes critics, nothing from the reviewers, but the audience gives it 74%. Directed by Quentin Lawrence, who has 64 credits, mostly British television. He also did The Crawling Eye, The Secret of Blood Island, and The Man Who Finally Died. The Secret of Blood Island is a really good, uncomfortable Hammer film, a war film. It was written by David T. Chandler, Louis Griefer, and Jacques Gillies, who were responsible for films like The Invaders, Cold Comfort, and You Can't Escape. Starring Peter Cushing.
Hey.
131 credits, including Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Island of Terror, and The House That Dripped Blood. Also starring Andre Morel, who has 139 credits, including The Mummy Shroud, The Baby and the Battleship, and he was the voice of Elrond in Bakshi's Lord of the Rings cartoon.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Richard Vernon, who has 189 credits, including Village of the Damned, Goldfinger, and The Satanic Rites of Dracula. Also in this is Norman Bird, Kevin Stoney, Barry Love, and Edith Sher. So, have you guys seen Cash on Demand?
No.
No, I don't think so.
This is just it's a crime thriller. So we're introduced to our protagonist, Harry, who's played by Peter Cushing, and he is the manager of a bank in London. And we see really quick that he is pretty cold and off-putting. He's constantly micromanaging his staff. He's complaining that they don't know how to do their own jobs, and he just seems like a real fucking asshole to work for.
Jeez.
In comes Gore Hepburn, who is an insurance investigator, but he is pretending to be an insurance investigator. He is actually running a con on the bank, and he's going to rob the bank And he's going to make Harry help him, largely by making sure that Harry believes that his family has been kidnapped.
Oh.
Because Gore has been kind of studying him, and he's recognized Harry's insecurities, and he exploits them ruthlessly, and gives him veiled threats about how family members will be killed if he doesn't help him steal the money from the bank. And he's got this stuff where he's like pretending there are other people like outside that are working with him and all that. There's a phone call with disguised voices, and that kind of convinces Harry that his family has indeed been kidnapped. And so Gore has him doing things at various moments, like going up to the window and signaling, doing something that signals to an associate outside, stuff like that. So, feeling that he has no choice, Harry helps the man steal 93,000 pounds from the bank vault, which he is able to hide from the rest of his staff. What he doesn't know, though, is that the staff has already phoned Gore's supposed insurance company as a routine precaution, and they found out that he is an imposter, but he has already escaped with the money now. So when Harry finds out that the police are on their way, he is now suddenly very worried for his family. When the police arrive, Harry convinces his buddy Pearson to cover for him, and he excuses the bank staff that contacted the police. But he doesn't realize that the police have already arrested Gore. And he had the briefcase containing all the bank's money. And on top of that, they know him as a criminal with a different name. And they suspect he must have had inside help with the robbery, which points, of course, towards Harry. So Harry breaks down and he tells the police that the man had kidnapped his family and he didn't know what else to do. But the police make a very quick call and establish that Harry's family were never under any kind of threat. They're home, and if he had just called them. So it's looking more and more like Harry is the man who orchestrated the robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Harry tries to tell the police how Gore had convinced him there were other people involved, and to show them one of the things he was forced to do, he goes to stand by a window and wipes his brow to signal a supposed associate outside. But as soon as he does this, a bank envelope full of money slips out of his pocket.
Oh, jeez.
And we had seen Gore sneak this money into Harry's pocket, so it's clear he wanted Harry to take the fall for the robbery. Will Harry be able to convince the police that he is innocent?
Ooh.
Will he change the opinion of his coworkers who all went out of their way, or will he change his own opinion of his coworkers who all went out of their way to help him, even though he was a complete fucking asshole to them earlier?
Aww.
And will he have a Scrooge-like moment where he finally lets his coworkers be the people that they are, and in fact tells them he will join them later at the staff Christmas party?
Aww.
This is just a really neat, very small movie with a very small cast and only a few locations. And it's really just a play that has been turned into a film and rests solely on the performance of the actors, which are all quite excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a little bit of trivia here. The screenplay was adapted from the 1960 Associated Television Theater 70 teleplay, The Gold Inside, which featured Andre Morel as Gore Hepburn, same guy who played him in this film, and Richard Vernon as Mr. Pearson, same guy who played him in this film. So,
cool.
To optimize its budget, the film uses a limited number of sets, and this is all of them. An interior street set, the trading area of a bank, the manager's office, the stairway between the office and the vault, and the interior of the vault. That is the entirety of this film.
Wow.
Budgetary filmmaking.
Yeah.
Nice.
The 93,000 pounds that was stolen would equate to about $2.68 million in 2024.
Wow.
Peter Cushing and Andre Morel would end up playing Holmes and Watson in the Hammer Studios version of The Hound of the Baskervilles. And the plot of this film seems to be the same conversation that Pumpkin and Honey Bunny are having in the diner in the opening of Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
Yeah, I could not be surprised if that's true.
Right. So, boy, this was one that I had heard about many years ago and just kind of passed by because it looked like something I wouldn't be interested in. Mm-hmm. And this was just a really nice chance to kind of check it out. It was really, really good. I mean, Peter Cushing definitely playing different than his Frankenstein or his Van Helsing or anything like that. He's such a prick in the beginning. I was like, where is this going? And then he's so worried about his family and everything. It just gives him a really wide range of stuff to do. And I was like, wow. One of our finest actors. I guess not ours. One of Britain's finest actors.
Stamps.
Man, I burned through my time there, so.
Say this was Hammer? One of Hammer's.
It is one of
production?
Hammer's, yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool little movie.
And
But
what year was that again?
this was 61.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I liked it. 61, but let's see. The first Dracula, was the first Dracula, the Hammer Dracula, black and white?
Yeah.
It was?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. No, it was color.
okay. Because this is black and white in 61, which seems a little late to be.
It's that period between you could choose, whether your movie was black and white or color. And I think they still had 2 categories in the Oscars, like a black and white and a color
Oh.
category.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know
Okay.
that either. That's
But
cool.
yeah, Horror of Dracula was color.
Okay. Yeah, this is called Cash on Demand. Okay, that means it is my turn to pick a subgenre.
Okay.
And a couple weeks back, we lost the legendary Roger Corman, and I think this would be a nice way to honor him, and we'll all pick a Roger Corman film.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, that's a lot of films to choose from, but I know that we have, in the past, already spoken about a lot of Roger Corman films. Still, I think that we will be able to find something he's involved in that we haven't spoken about before.
Roger Corman. Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that brings us to the point where we say thank you to everybody who's participating in the value for value model, which is very simple. If you get some value out of this, give some value back. That can be in the form of cash payments. We have that set up on the website where you can donate to the show. You can even do a recurring donation if you like. You can go on to the Strange Eons Talk page on Facebook and discuss that. You can like, share posts. You can make a comment under the YouTube videos, which apparently is a huge deal.
Yeah, comment, say some interesting things, say some whatever you want to talk about. Like, I like that Badger mentions movie. He does a lot of background work in films, and he mentions when he shows up, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I'm positive I saw him in a trailer I saw before Fall Guy. I just could not remember what the movie was, but I'm pretty sure that was him sitting behind the leads in one of them.
Oh, I know that he was in that Chris, who's the Chris I don't like, who played Captain Kirk? Pine, yeah. And I think it's called Pool Man. So I know that might have been the trailer you saw.
Could be.
Regardless of all that, you can also reach out at the Strange Eons Radio hotline, which is 253-237-4266. Vanessa had an amazing idea. If you're listening to this in your car and you might think, oh, I should leave them something, put this number in your phone.
Yeah, just call us. Call us when you're driving and stuck in traffic, and have a safe way of telling your car to please just do it without looking at your phone. Do it when you're drunk. Do it when you're bored. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think, and what you're up to, what you're having for dinner.
You don't want to be like this random story guy I'm going to tell at the moment, who was in McDonald's drive-through using the McDonald's app and got busted by a cop who was sitting behind him ordering his McDonald's for a $538 ticket.
Oh my God.
For using his phone while he was sitting
in the drive-through?
Not driving. So
I can't
use your
believe-
hands-free stuff.
Yes. Oh my God. Now I know. God, I've done that before.
Fucking
We all
cops.
have.
I mean, geez Louise.
Yeah. So once again, that number is 253-237-4266. Give us a call. All right, gang. We'll be back in 7 short days. We are talking Roger Corman. See you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
Mystery. I don't know if we'll ever know, but it must have been real bad.